So no rush, no hurry. When you're ready, we'll make our way over to the mat. And for today's practice, we'll start seated, and always okay to use a blanket or anything else in under the hips so that you find your most comfortable seat. And in today's practice, we're going to focus more on a feeling versus a body part for today. And this is yoga for when you're frustrated, aggravated, agitated, and grumpy. And ironically, it was planned before all the technical difficulties. So when you find your seat, take a moment and notice how your breath moves. Notice if it moves toward your belly with ease. Notice if it's staying in the rib cage. And you might start to notice if your inhale takes longer than your exhale, or if they're about the same length. And when we are feeling agitated, aggravated, frustrated, or generally grumpy, we tend to do this longer inhale, shorter exhale thing. And that can add to some of the stress hormones in the body. So one thing we can do to help balance that out is to find our samavriti, the even wave breath. And the basic way to do this is to inhale for a count of about 4 and to exhale for that same count. And that's a samavriti, an even wave breath. And you might also try adding on to this to turn it into a box breath. With a box breath, we find a pause in between the inhale and exhale, and the exhale and the inhale. So that will be inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and then pausing again for 4. So if you'd like, you can try this with me. Let's start by taking a deep breath in toward the belly. Exhale out through the mouth. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause 4, 3, 2, 1. Normal breath in. Normal breath out. And just notice as your breath returns if its pattern is a little different. So that samavriti is thought to help balance things out. So sometimes that's all you need. But other times, this time of year, we're recording this in August. It's a time where there's a lot of pitta, a lot of that heat and fire. And based on what I've seen on social media recently, it looks like there are a lot of folks who are dealing with feeling aggravated and frustrated. So we'll add in a few movements, and the first one is a twist. We'll start by sitting tall, lengthening through the crown of the head, and when you exhale, find a gentle twist toward one side. Inhale back towards center. When you exhale, we'll twist to that same side again. pause in this twist for a whole round of breath, seeing if you can lengthen through the crown while you twist. Use an inhale to bring it to center. One more twist to the side on the exhale, lengthening through the crown. And then you might take that front hand and bring it around behind you, like it was trying to wrap around toward your hip, or you might just connect it to the other arm. And when you find an inhale, gently release the twist, release the hand. Take a moment to give the shoulders a little roll or shrug. And then we'll start to find our twist to side two. The inhale lengthens us up tall through the crown of the head. Exhale, find a gentle twist. Inhale back to center. Exhale, gentle twist, pausing this time in the twist and seeing if we can lengthen through the crown as we breathe. Inhale back towards center. One more like this. Exhale, gentle twist. And then maybe we take that front hand again, reaching it behind us toward the opposite hip. Just adding a little extra openness for the shoulder. Can you breathe when you're here? Gently releasing with the inhale, coming back to center. See if the shoulders need a roll or a shrug. And then we'll take them up toward the ears with an inhale. Exhale, slide them back and down. The shoulders are one place that stress and tension often go. Inhale them up. Exhale them back and down. One more like this. And then give them maybe another little shrug or even a little shimmy. That helps move that synovial fluid through the joint. And then no rush, no hurry. But we'll take a moment to find a little side bend next. We might take the hand behind the back if that feels good. Inhale it up to center. We might reach the hand up and over if that feels good. Inhale back to center. We'll take one more here, up and over. Maybe pausing and thinking if you can lengthen down through the hip and out through the fingertips at the same time. Inhale it tall and take a pause and center. Maybe bringing the breath in for a count of 4 and out for a count of 4. And when we find side 2, we might start with the hand behind the back. And it's okay to take all of these movements with the hand behind the back. Or if it feels good to reach out. In Ayurveda, when there's excess pitta or excess fire, inhaling up. Exhale up and over. That excess pitta can disperse when we really expand and create space and reach. And then inhaling back towards center. And take a pause here, no rush, no hurry. Maybe finding one more even breath. And if there's anything going on with the wrists or the arms today, if you'd like to stay off of the hands, you can stay seated for cat-cow using an exhale to round and an inhale to arch. Or you can start to make your way toward all fours. Use the exhale to round, and the inhale to arch. No rush, no hurry with it. Taking your time. Noticing if your head and your hips can move away from each other in cow, like they're creating a little more length. And then we move to yogi's choice. You might settle hips to the heels and rest. When we've been feeling irritated and aggravated, sometimes we're just tired and we need to rest. So feel free to stay put there. You might choose a gentle flow if motion is feeling good, maybe taking puppy to cobra. Or if you'd like more motion, we'll move to our vinyasa flow of down dog, inhale to plank, exhale knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale cobra or up dog, and exhale down dog. And taking your time, no rush, no hurry, just finding what feels best for you in this moment. Noticing your breath. Remembering that if we can keep the breath even, that really helps. If you do find you're overly energized, you can even try making your exhale a little longer than your inhale. That might help balance things back down. And then eventually, when you've finished your rest or that third flow, we'll start to make our way back to meet on all fours on the mat. And if the wrists are not comfortable today, you might work here from the elbows instead. Taking a moment to explore if we can inhale the fingertips up, opening in the shoulders to one side. And then exhale, threading through under the arm. We'll take this flow again. Inhale, opening to one side. Exhale, threading the hand through underneath. One more. Inhale, open. Exhale. This time as we thread through, we might pause. Visiting, thread the needle. You can stay put just like this. You can open the left fingertips up to the ceiling. You might even try reaching your left toes to the back of the mat and floating the left knee. Can you breathe when you're here? You can float the foot if you like. Breathing. And especially if you've been irritated or aggravated, try to be kind to yourself. Try not to be competitive. Gently floating left hand down near the face. Floating knee to the mat if it was lifted. Inhale, press and lift. We'll open that arm up one more time and then start to open that right foot back. Finding a variation on side plank Vashisthasana. And then we might even take that right arm up and over, finding almost a crescent moon shape in our side plank. And then as you exhale, let's take that right hand, right knee to mat, finding all fours. You might take a moment to shift a little side to side. And then we'll try side two. Starting by inhaling those left fingertips up. Exhale, threading through under the right arm. Inhale, opening the collarbone. Exhale, threading through. And one more flow. Inhale, open and lift. Exhale, threading through. Settling the shoulder to the mat. And we want more weight on the shoulder and the knee than we do on our head. We want to make sure the neck is comfy here. Now you might, again, play with floating the hand. Maybe floating the knee. And you can float the foot if you'd like. Can you breathe when you're here? Take your time. When you're ready, sweep that right hand back to the mat, near the face. The knee can lower if it lifted. Press into the palm to open, finding that side plank shape. And we can stay put here, or we might try reaching that left hand away from the foot, finding a little crescent moon shape. Inhale it tall. Exhale, bring it down toward all fours. And you might take a little cat-cow. Exhale to round. Inhale to arch. And then just take a little pause here and notice how things feel. And then I'd like you to try curling the toes in underneath if that's comfy. Maybe walking the hips back toward the heels. Now, if this is uncomfortable on the feet, fingertips can stay on the mat. Otherwise, this is a little thunderbolt pose, Laghu Varjasana. And we can stay put here. We can try to connect those pinky toes to the mat. This helps to lengthen the fascia on the bottoms of the feet. And when you exhale, walk the hands back forward. Tap the tops of the feet out on the mat, releasing any tension there. Then toes curl back and underneath. Exhale, shift and lift, downward facing dog. Pedal in, lengthening the back of the legs. And then as you exhale, we'll start to settle the knees back to the mat. Anchor the hips toward the heels, but try to keep the palms down on the mat so that we find child pose with a little extra length in the arms and under the arm. And breathing here, maybe rocking the forehead a little side to side on the mat, massaging that eyebrow area. And that's a place tension tends to get stuck. And then when you inhale, draw it up toward all fours. We'll start to settle our way down to the belly on the mat. We might take the shoulders back from the ears and use knees, chest, chin. When you find your belly on the mat, you might rest the head on the hands. If the back feels a little tight or tired, try bending the knees and rocking the heels. And settling into this shape. Now, being down on the belly might feel really different. This can be a very grounding shape. So if you've been thinking a lot, I know for me, when I feel irritated and aggravated, I often think about it a lot. Tell myself a story about why I feel that way. So putting more of your body on the ground can help ground and calm yourself, bringing you back into this moment. And you might stay put just like this, especially if the back is tight today. Or we might start to add in a little bit more movement here. First, taking that left leg back long. Slide the right knee up toward the shoulder if you can. This is half frog, and this is the restorative version of half frog. And you might stay put right here, just like this. If it's comfortable to lengthen the leg out, you might try that. They say that draws more length toward the liver meridian. And the liver meridian is a place that in traditional Chinese medicine, they say when that one's blocked, it can create irritation and aggravation. So you might stay put here like this, or you might start to transition to the yang version of half frog, which would be sliding the knee on the mat, tucking the heel toward the hip, and then maybe we're connecting to anchor that heel toward the hip. That might feel like plenty to be right here. Or you can start to roll the biceps out toward the side, maybe sending the elbow up toward the ceiling here. And you can press your foot into your hand and your hand into your foot to add a little more length. And then you can stay put, or if you want a little lift, connect hand to ankle, starting to slide that front elbow in under the torso. You can take a little half bow here. Can you breathe when you're here? And again, you can float the thigh by pressing hand to foot, foot to hand, or you might just focus on the shoulder, your choice. When you're ready, gently release, making your way back toward the belly on the mat. And we'll all draw back to reverse Shavasana here. Again, maybe bending the knees to rock the heels if it feels good. And then you might take a little pause before we go to side two to notice, does it feel different from one side of the body to the other? And then when you're ready, we'll move towards side two, sliding that left knee up toward the shoulder. And we might just stay put here. We might stretch that leg out long. Can you breathe there? Drawing a little length to the inner seam of the leg. And you can stay put right here. Or you might start to take the more yang style half frog by drawing the knee back in. Maybe we anchor to hug the heel in close. You can stay put right here. That can draw a lot of length to the front of the thigh, the front of the hip. We might try spinning the biceps out or externally rotating to send the elbow up. You can breathe while we're here. We might anchor hand to foot, pressing to lift for our half bow. And again, doing more is not always better. Just finding where things feel like a comfortable spot for you to work today. And then when you are ready, gently release the foot, release the hand, find your way back to the belly. And softening, maybe bending the knees to rock the heels. Or a kind of funny thing, to rock the hips a little side to side. It can help if you have a SI joint that gets out of place and gets stuck. Sometimes that little rock can help it wiggle back in place. And then when you're ready, no rush, no hurry. We'll start to rest left ear on the hands. As you inhale, take that right elbow, left foot up, sometimes called stargazer pose. Exhale down, turning the head. Inhale, lift left elbow, right leg. Exhale down, turning the head. Inhale up. Exhale down. Turning the head. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more each way. Inhale up. Exhale down. Turning the head. Inhale up. Exhale down. Relax the head to the mat. Maybe rocking it a little side to side to give that eyebrow area a massage. And then when you're ready, no rush, no hurry. You might take one more little rock. When you're ready, start to walk one foot back and then the other. Helping to open up that area in the front of the hip. Taking your time so that the front of the hip If we spend a lot of time sitting, those muscles can get short and tight, and they can add to some of the grumpiness in the low back. And grumpy backs often make for grumpy people. So no rush, no hurry. When you feel like you've evened this out on both sides, feel free to take one more rock or wiggle. And then we'll reach back through the feet actively, like we're anchoring them to the floor. Slide the elbows in under the shoulders, finding your way toward a Sphinx pose. If it's not comfy on the back, you can bring this down by letting the elbows go out wider. And can you keep your feet active, anchoring them to the mat while your collarbones reach and shine forward? Breathing while you're here. Lengthening from the tips of the toes out through the top of the head. And then yogi's choice, we can press this back into child pose to be gentle. Or if you've still got some heat, you've still got some energy, curl the toes in under. We might start by lifting our hips for a low kneeling plank. Or we might start to press up for low plank, dolphin plank. Can you breathe when you're here? Lengthen back through the heels, forward through the crown of the head, hugging the belly button in, engaging the pelvic floor. And you can stay put and hold if you like, or you might settle the knees to the mat and walk it back for either a puppy or a child pose. Softening down, breathing into the back. Noticing your breath. Does it feel like it's about the same length for the inhale and the exhale? Then yogi's choice. Stay put in your rest. There's time enough for 3 vinyasa flows if you're craving more movement. Or if there's another shape you can tell your body would like, or even a movement like circling the wrist, take the time to go there now. And as you do, you might notice where your attention goes. Does it stay with you in your body? Does it go to the things you have to do? Or when you are feeling aggravated and agitated, you might notice that your brain likes to keep running the things that have irritated you over and over and over again. You know, you keep thinking about it or working on a snarky reply. And the funny thing is, our emotions themselves, they typically last less than 3 minutes. When we're feeling an emotion longer than that, it's usually because we've wrapped ourselves in with a story about it. So notice when that's happening. And then no rush, no hurry. When you're ready, we'll make our way back to meet on all fours. And if that's not happening to you right now, if right now you feel like, yeah, I'm good when I practice. So this practice helps us to be able to notice when we are getting pulled into a story or wrapped up in our thoughts. It helps us notice and gives us tools like our breath or noticing our feet on the floor to help us come out of that story or respond to what we're dealing with. From all fours, curl the toes in underneath. Spin the biceps out, taking the shoulders back from the ears. Exhale, shift and lift to downward facing dog. Pedaling in, bending one knee and the other. And then when you find an exhale, we'll step, walk, or hop to the top of the mat. As you find forward bend, relax the neck. Breathing here, allowing the back of the body to lengthen. Maybe taking a little rock. And when you exhale, bend the knees. Send the hips back behind. Inhale your way up toward a chair pose, Utkatasana. Next inhale takes it all the way tall. And we'll exhale, arms down by the sides for mountain pose. And take a little shake when you get here. First time you've been standing in this class, so see if anything needs a little shift or shrug to help standing feel good. Anchor down through the feet, lift tall through the crown, and notice your breath. You might notice the shoulders here. Notice if they feel like they're collapsing forward. And if they are, sometimes spinning the palm forward can help give a little more sensation of opening. Or if it's comfy, you can clasp the hands behind the back. And then, because when we're agitated and aggravated, sometimes we get a little aggressive, we tend to put the rib cage forward, like, hey, you can't do that, or hey, I'm mad about that. So we want to keep the collarbones open, but draw your attention to the low ribs and see if it feels like they might be popping up a little. How would it feel to anchor those low ribs down to engage the abdominals? So the low ribs stay anchored. We have our long collarbones, but we're in a nice balanced space. We're not overly thrusty with the ribs. And then from that place, when you find the next exhale, see if you can float that right knee up. And just notice how your balance feels. And then we might try tucking that right heel toward the back of the hip. And then send the toes to the back of the mat. You can keep the hands behind if it feels good, or go ahead and inhale them up tall in your high lunge or crescent lunge. And if it feels like you could give yourself a little more space, you might do that here too. And when you exhale, we'll fold forward, either framing the foot or taking the hands behind the back for humble warrior. Can you breathe when you're here? Exhale, release the hands, frame the front foot, spin the back toes out. Now as you open, we'll cartwheel up toward our warrior two. And can you breathe here, anchoring evenly through both feet? If you do feel any of that agitation, lengthen out through the fingertips, but try to hug the shoulder blades a little closer toward each other. Then inhale, draw it up tall. Spin the left toes to the long edge of the mat. Exhale, hinge from the hips, wide-legged forward bend. Relax the neck, gentle nod yes, or slow shake no. You can just stay here, maybe taking the hands away behind the back and away from the back. Or you might walk the hands toward one foot, finding our alternating stretch for the inner edge of the leg. You can take that high if it doesn't feel good to be forward bending. Just resting from one thigh to the other. You can make this Ardha Malasana or half of garland pose. Breathing when you're here. No rush, no hurry. When you're ready, we'll bring it back towards center. Take a moment to soften the neck. And then we'll walk those right toes to point to the long edge. Walk the left toes to point back to the top or the front of your mat, framing that foot. We'll inhale back up for our warrior two. And taking a breath. And then we'll just play with a little balance, just a little hop here. Shifting the weight and just seeing if that back foot could float. And you might just play with the hop, or if the foot floats, also little tip, you can slide the foot in. Sometimes that'll help it float with more ease. If it floats, we might just stay here in this start of half moon, or you're welcome to reach and send left fingertips to the mat, finding your half moon or Ardha Chandrasana. No rush, no hurry. Can you be kind to yourself and give yourself a break if it gets too wobbly? Or be kind if you step out of the pose? When you're ready, float that right foot to the back of the mat. We'll meet back in Warrior Two. Taking a breath. Exhale, cartwheel down, frame the front foot. Float the back heel up. Runner's lunge, take a breath, maybe settling the hip toward the mat. Then as you exhale, step back for high plank or all fours. And one breath here. Exhale, shift and lift, downward facing dog. Pedal in, bend one knee and the other. Yogi's choice. 3 vinyasa flows. Bring it down to rest. Or take a moment for a pose that you can tell your body is craving. Noticing your breath. No rush, no hurry with it. Taking your time. And just noticing if some of these lengthening shapes, if it feels like that's kind of freeing up a little more space. Sometimes we just need a little more space to process things. No rush, no hurry. When you're ready, when you finish that last flow, or when you're coming up from your rest, we'll make our way back toward all fours. See if the back needs a little shift side to side, a little round and arch. And then we'll curl the toes in underneath. Exhale, shift and lift, downward facing dog. Pedal in, bend one knee and the other. As you exhale, step, walk, or hop. Top of the mat, forward bend. Relax the neck. As you exhale, bend the knees, hips move back behind. Inhale to chair pose, Utkatasana. Next inhale takes it tall. Exhale down for Tadasana or mountain pose. Take a moment to even out the weight in the feet. See if anything needs a shrug. And then we'll lengthen up through the crown. Check in with the ribs. We want length across the collarbones, but we want to keep those low ribs anchored down too. When you find the next exhale, shift your weight to the right. See about floating that left knee up. Notice how balance feels. You might explore sending the hip toward the heel, seeing if that shifts anything. And then reach the toes to the back of the mat, inhaling the fingertips up for high lunge. And you might take the hands behind the back if that feels good here. Or you might be lifting them tall, your choice. You might wiggle the toes back if there's room. As you exhale, hinge and fold. Hands can come down, or if they're behind the back, they might lift for humble warrior. When you're ready, release the hands if they were behind the back. Frame the foot, and then we'll spin the back toes out. So the left foot will be spinning out. I'll just switch sides so it's easier to see. And then we'll inhale our way up toward our Warrior Two. And take a moment, lengthen out through the fingertips. See if you can Draw the shoulders back from the ears and toward each other. And then let's take an inhale, sweep it up tall. Spin the right toes to the long edge of the mat. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Wide-legged forward fold. Relax the neck, gentle nod yes or slow shake no. You can soften and settle here. And then your choice. Again, you might stay put like this, just resting. You might want to word one foot. Again, maybe taking Ardha Malasana for that shift. Or we might try walking the hands out a little away from the feet so the back is long. And then reaching fingertips up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. And take your time, no rush, no hurry. Again, fine to go from side to side, focusing on the legs versus the twist. Remembering this is your practice. So choosing what feels best for you. And then when we come back to center, we'll take a pause there, softening the neck. No rush, no hurry. When you're ready, we'll start to spin the right toes back toward the top of the mat, left toes toward the long edge. Walking the hands toward the right foot, and then inhaling up for warrior two. And taking a breath when you find the shape. And then it's yogi's choice. You can hold, or we might see about floating that back foot, just taking a hop or two. If it feels like there's no way it would float, it's okay to stay grounded or slide the foot in a little. And just see if that makes a difference. And then we might start to reach the fingertips out, maybe hovering in the start of half moon. Or maybe the right hand finds its way toward the mat. Can you breathe when you're here? Lengthening through the left heel, through the left fingertips. When you're ready to come down, we'll float the left foot to the mat. Land in warrior two, one breath. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down to frame the foot. We'll slide or step back, all fours or high plank. One breath there. Exhale, shift and lift, downward facing dog. Yogi's choice, one more yogi's choice. And bring it down to rest. Take the time for 3 vinyasa flows. Or if there's something else you can feel your body is craving, take the time to go there now. Sometimes when we're feeling agitated, aggravated, irritated, it's because we haven't been listening to our body or haven't been taking care of something we need. You've probably heard of feeling hangry, which is when you're hungry and you start to get angry. Well, that irritation comes from not addressing the need for food or for sustenance. So just noticing what you feel in this moment. And if there's a need that you can honor right now, go ahead and take the time to do that. And when you're ready, no rush or hurry, we'll meet in child pose. Maybe rocking that eyebrow area out on the mat. And breathing into the shape. And when you find an inhale, starting to make your way up towards seated. We'll find a comfortable seat. Maybe it's the same one you started class in. And just notice how your breath is in this moment. Maybe noticing if anything has shifted since we started class today. And then when you're ready, we'll start to make our way down toward the back on the mat. No rush or hurry. Your choice. We can be gentle using one leg as a counterweight, or we might find our boat pose and send it long and low, nice and slow down to the mat. When you get there, if you'd like to just stay put in Shavasana, please feel free to do so. Or you might start to bring the feet to the mat, give the knees a little rock. In the summer, we often use Daksharas twist at the beginning of a practice, but today we'll bring it in at the end, finding the opposite elbow with the hands. When you exhale, we'll take the knees to one side, the elbows to the other. And it's your choice. You can flow this, exhaling to the side and inhaling to center. Or at the end of practice today, I'd invite you to just let things pause and soften into that shape. Again, being kind to the shoulders. No rush, no hurry. Maybe you start to make your way towards side 2 if you're softening and sinking into the shape. Noticing your breath while you're here. And they say this pose is good for relieving agitation and irritation. You can stay with it. Or if you like, you might bring an ankle to the top of the thigh and then start to draw the knee in for reclined pigeon. The reclined pigeon for most of us can feel like a big stretch. We often have a lot of tension in those hip rotators. And so giving it attention to places where there's a little extra tension can be helpful to bring our whole system back into balance. Then you can stay put here if it feels good, taking your time. Or when you're ready, we can make our way over towards side 2. You might take a little rock or even a little bridge in between switching sides if that feels good for your body. But if we are doing one side, generally best to do the other side too. And you might find there's a big difference between the sides for you. And breathing when you're here. And if you find you still are feeling aggravated or agitated, you might try coming back to that square breath. I'm inhaling for a count of 4, pausing for 4, exhaling for 4, and pausing for 4. And if the pauses don't feel good, it's okay to not pause, to just inhale and exhale for 4 or 5 or 6. We do want that breath to feel comfortable. No rush, no hurry, taking your time here. When you're ready, you might make your way toward Shavasana. Or if our classic Shavasana with legs long and palms turned up doesn't feel good, feel free to bend the knees. That can take some pressure off the low back. And you can also take the arms across the chest for constructive rest. Whichever shape you choose, and take your time to soften into it, noticing your breath. And then giving yourself permission for the next few minutes to just be without having to do anything. And that time allows us to integrate the benefits from today's practice. And if you are able to take a long Shavasana today, feel free to stay put just as you are. Or when you're ready, you might start to reach out through the hands. Find what would like to bend and draw in close. Or stretch and reach out long. No rush, no hurry with it. When you're ready, we'll start to make our way. That was interesting. When you're ready, we'll start to make our way over to rest on one side. No rush, no hurry. Pressing your way up toward a comfortable seat when you're ready. And taking a little shift side to side. And seeing if there's any motion for the shoulders, the spine, or your neck that would feel good. And then from your comfy seat, take an inhale, lengthening up through the crown of the head, reaching fingertips tall. Exhale, hands to the heart. And thank you for taking the time to practice today. It's such a pleasure to practice with you. And namaste.